The bigger the problem you solve, the bigger the success you're going to have. Give me the problems.
Hello there, it's me, Steve Mellor, and welcome in to Growth Ready, the podcast that allows high performers to reveal the reality behind what it means to ready yourself for growth, the personal and professional challenges along the growth journey, while also allowing the high performance executive coach in me to satisfy his curiosity toward what drives optimal performance. On this episode, we have the CEO of Home Alliance, Sardor Umrdinov, joining the show. And as a self-defined serial entrepreneur, Sardor has lived life outside the comfort zone, but his growth has come from a respect for the many facets of human performance that, when we embrace them, ready us to take on whatever is coming next. Hey guys, as we get started here with the episode, I want to just take 1 minute of your time to make a request for you to subscribe and rate the show. For our show to be easily discovered by other potential listeners, we need our current listeners, that's you, to take the time to not only subscribe, but to also rate the show. Whether you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, whatever platform of choice, there are typically ways to be rating the show. So go ahead and click something like that 5th star and be sure to take that additional time to leave a comment or two about why it is you enjoy listening to the Growth Ready podcast. Your efforts on this will allow our show to be more discoverable, which means we're going to find more listeners and continue to have that significant impact on the community of human performance and personal development that I know you are all benefiting from by being listeners to this show. Please go ahead, take the time, subscribe, rate the show today. Hey, and while you're at it, why don't you share it with a few people as well? I appreciate you guys. Let's get to the interview. Hello there. Welcome back into the most recent installment of the Growth Ready podcast. I'm very excited today to have a serial entrepreneur joining us on the show. We're going to learn all about his story. A fellow non-American based in America, just like myself. So we have Sardor Umrdinov joining us today. He's based out on the West Coast, and so I'm excited to be welcoming you in, Sardor. But before we go any further and we learn about your story, I want to ask you the same question that I ask everybody as we get started, and that is, what does it mean to you to be growth ready?
First of all, thanks, Steve, for having me on the show. The growth ready, it's actually, I think, it's not something happens to you. I think it's something you prepare for, and you don't become ready after some success. You become ready before it arrives, and every single step of your journey, you become ready for the next stage of your life, next stage of the growth.
I love that because
it's one of my favorite words because I cannot spell that word properly.
Well, hey, listen, that's okay. As someone that came from England who spent the first 10 years of his time in the United States being told that I spelt everything wrong because I spelt it the way English people spell it as opposed to Americans, even though we came up with the language, but hey, doesn't matter. But hey, the thing I love about your answer, Sardor, is this idea that, is it the growth or is it the ready? Which one comes first? And that it's why I came up with the name of the business. It's why it's the name of the show. Because for me, I don't think there's a right and a wrong answer. I enjoy hearing what my guests have to say. And already we get this idea from the way you answered that you must be, as an entrepreneur, you must be the kind of individual who's willing to maybe go in a certain direction and go discover if you're ready, go find out if you're ready, as opposed to get ready and then consider what the next step might be. So I'm just curious, when you think about who you are as a person, where do you think that comes from? That ability, that desire to say, I may not feel ready just yet, but I'm going to go and I'm going to get myself ready by making a commitment.
I think it's first of all, if you really look my journey in history, where I came from Uzbekistan, in my childhood, we didn't even had a refrigerator at our house. We would actually had to call the meat in the river next to our house in the like a big bottle. We would put it. There was a net, and that was our refrigerator. Now I run one of the largest refrigerator repair companies, right, in the nation,
Yeah.
where I didn't have the refrigerator in the beginning. So, but from every single step of a life, I had to always come out of the comfort zone. And in my childhood, in the first kindergarten and the school, I didn't speak Russian, and I had to go to Russian school, and I had to leave my comfort zone. Then, after the Soviet Union collapsed, I had to go back to the Uzbekistan school. Then I had to learn Uzbek. I didn't speak Uzbek much because I was in the Russian school. And then also I had to go through that leaving the comfort zone again. I had to become one. I was outsider. Then later I got to the lyceum, the gymnasium for the boys, and also like I thought I'm already like achieved the growth, but later I found out I was not the one of the strongest because all my surrounding was much smarter than me. Now I had to learn more and compete again with them and become one of the best. And later, when I actually thought I am one of the best in that village or in that region of 60, 100,000 people, later I went to the capital, Tashkent, to university, and I failed first year. And I thought I'm ready for the growth. I was not. Then I had to go back. My father told me, like, don't give up and let's go to the different university. I said, no, I'm ready now. I'm going to be ready for next year. I'm going to go back and pass it. Then the next year, and I got into the university. And I was one of the first contract. Before me, it was 25 people who was in the budget, who the government pays for your education. Then I said, I finally am ready. Then I figured out and found out like all my surrounding, my classmates in the university was much smarter than me because all of them actually got into the university because of that graduation and test, and was really strong. You should be one of the 10,000 to get into the university. And in the first 2 years, I also again struggled because I was not the smartest one. Then I had to actually compete again, learn more. And later, I moved to US in 2003 after the fourth year. And I found out that in US, I didn't speak much of English. Then I had to actually, again, I had to struggle and I had to go through the growth evaluation stage, right?
Yeah.
And then like for every single stage, you have to leave your comfort zone, and you think you're ready, but you see more challenges. And when I'm going to now in the masterminds, and I meet other entrepreneurs in the next level, you think you achieved the growth. Now you found out like you're not the one of the strongest one, you're not the one of the smartest one because there are much more smart there are much more successful people around you than you are, and you have to again try to climb on that mountain further because you see your surrounding is strong.
Yeah, it's a fascinating concept, especially how you finish there with where you are now, and you join something like a mastermind. You surround yourself with other entrepreneurs, and it's easy to assume at every single step it's like, okay, this previous step is the step that was required for me to now have figured this all out, for me to now know what's coming. And then suddenly we're humbled every single time. There's this moment where you go into a room and you thought, hey, we're all going to be just as smart and just as experienced as one another. And you can sometimes learn, oh no, I'm the least, I'm the most uneducated, I'm the most inexperienced in the room. How could I possibly have known that that was going to happen until I stepped into the room and took a seat? And what I always find fascinating about stories like yours is that you found a way to use each one of those chapters as encouragement to go on to the next one, as opposed to a reason or an excuse not to try the next time. And so I'm curious, like, when did you notice that you were in fact gaining momentum by trying and possibly failing or learning and then having to try again to prove that you were in fact ready?
I think it's about kind of a visioning what is next and actually see it and having that the grit and not giving up inside of you and keep pushing yourself and being prepared. It's emotionally and spiritually for that stage,
Yeah.
and it might be like daily routines. What do you do? Discipline, or learning and surrounding yourself with the people who are going to support you. That actually kind of helps you to achieve that stage, and having that responsibility and having that target and a goal.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's so much to unpack there straight away. Is this idea of the daily discipline, the people you surround you with, and then having a clear goal. So there's three things right there when we can start to say, okay, even if I don't feel ready, how might I assess my daily discipline? How might I assess the people I have around me? And then how good do I feel about my goals? And so walk us through maybe, Sardor, just this idea of what daily discipline looks like to you, how you find the right kind of people, and then how you set goals. So just sort of walk us through some of those pieces for you.
So the setting of goals like that far was not. I could imagine before, but I didn't really had a goal. But now I have a really clear personal and strategic plan for the company for, like, let's say 10 years, what I want to achieve, what I want to see, what I see. Before I would just imagine it. Now I have a really strategic goal and target. Then I break it down to like 5-year, 3-year target and yearly. And once a year I go over that 10-year target and look at it and what I have achieved or not, close to that target. Then I break it down on quarterly, and every quarter I look to the same target, how I break it down to the quarters. Then on monthly level, I also zoom out and see, and I have for that my founder coach. We do that together, and that person knows what I'm going after, and she keeps me accountable. Then we have a weekly calls, and I also have a weekly calls with my chief of staff. We break down the week, and then I have a daily sync with my executive assistant. We go over my calendar for tomorrow, and then every day we break down what I have achieved, what was the valid final product of each meeting, and basically that's how you actually break down things like to the granular level, and to the same target, right? Like everything has to be around the same target. What do you have achieved? The biggest thing to get the like monthly targets or quarterly targets.
Yeah, and I love how you broke that down so simply for us because I'm as an executive coach myself. It's one of these things where I can sometimes get caught in a conversation with a client about goals. Typically, we'll spend some time around goals, but at the end of the day, we need to work our way all the way back to some form of habit, daily standard, daily discipline that's going to allow you to uphold that. And what I love about how you just walked us through your process is this idea of you can be so exhausted with all the goals, but then if you don't actually share those goals with these key players in your world, whether it be an entrepreneur coach, an executive assistant, a chief of staff, all these key players, then those goals really don't have the type of accountability structure, which is the daily discipline that they need to be upheld. Like you're welcoming people in to your mind, to your goals, to your vision, but you're doing it in a way where, from what I understand, you're making them part of it. You're making them part of the goals.
Yeah, and actually one of I think the interesting thing we did this week, actually, I had my first strategic oversight council, and I had to report to. Even though I'm a founder, I own most of the company, I don't have to have a board, but I have created that kind of a board environment, so I have accountability on the quarterly level to report to. And one of the interesting things happen on that is, first of all, it gives me accountability. I'm showing them my 10-year goal, my 3 years goal, my yearly goals, and what I have achieved, what we have achieved as a company in 3 months, and what we are planning to achieve in the next 3 months. And one of the members was my wife, because I want her to know and support me, like understand what I'm going after and what I'm doing it for, right? And one of the interesting things was when I asked my team to help me to prepare for that board council meeting, and actually now I had a really support, and that support was, wow, he has to report to someone. Now he's not asking like controlling wise, like give me that report. I must look, help me because I have to report to someone. And then actually we're more engaged, my team, support as a CEO, not as a founder, supporting, because now I have to report to someone, right? Which I have created myself. And they were so supportive and they liked that. And they were on my side and supporting that goal. And they were following up and asking like, how was the board? What kind of feedback you got? And everyone was really engaging, and I showed them what we had one of the best quarters last quarter, and we are growing about 10% a month probably. We are growing 10% a month on the main business, and we are growing about 30-40% a month over months in the venture studio, right? So I was showing them all of that and this momentum, and it didn't just happen. It was preparation to that growth before, like what we have done a year ago, what we have done 6 months ago, that we are seeing those results now. And whatever I'm working now, I already see the results in the future in 2027, right? I'm working on the 27 goals and targets, not the yesterday or today or tomorrow's. My team does that.
Yeah. None of it's by accident. That's what I'm hearing. Yeah. None of it's by accident. And that's, I think so much of your initial answer around, we go to find and discover whether or not we're ready. It's the understanding that if the foundation and the preparation is strong enough, then we should be bold enough. We should be willing enough, ambitious enough to say, hey, listen, we can go in this direction. Even if we don't have all the answers right now, the preparation has given us the foundation at least to believe that the outcome's going to be on the more positive side than it is going to be on the negative side. And whatever lessons we learn, because of the foundation, we're going to be equipped to figure it out as we go. But there's a word that you used there a few times when you were describing the role of, and we're going to get to the willingness that you have to even share some of this stuff with someone like your wife. I think this is a really key part of this discussion. But there's a word you use a lot there, which was engaged. And so what I love about that word is that, yes, we have this sort of granular approach to goal setting and meetings and what we're talking about and accountability becoming the result of all these things. But you're creating a level of engagement that is felt from one person to the next. And something I heard there, correct me if I'm wrong, but something I heard there, it's almost as though the engagement strengthens the relationships within your team too.
Yeah. Correct. Yes. It's definitely did. And before, if I would come, so like I would ask a report from my COO, was for me as like, okay, now he came in demanding a report, what I have to do. This time I came as a CEO, as like, look, help me to get prepared to the board because you have to report. Now they were on my side, engaging and helping me to do that. Because now I'm not doing it for myself, I'm doing it for somebody and for ourselves, but I'm more kind of asking them for help. That was kind of a completely different way of getting that engagement.
Yeah.
And plus, getting that wife and getting my CFO to that board and my CEO coach and founder coach, right? Like that support system also kind of helping, and they understand what I'm working on. Even though we go through much faster phase, we do we do a lot of cycles of a lot of changes we do within the quarter, but it was kind of a interesting to do that supporting system, because that supporting system is not just about the business. You also have to have spiritual, like 360, like your physical, your mental, your health. And I also have, let's say, personal fitness coach. He comes to my house 5 times a week, and every like 12 o'clock, and we work out for 1 hour, right? Like, and we have certain goals for the year, and for this for the months of the quarter. And I want to like do 100 push-ups, and I've kind of got to like probably 60 or 70 push-ups now, and we are going to that, and he keeps me accountable, right? Like, because in order to run this kind of organization, you have to be ready physically as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And again, you not only you speaking my language on the health and the fitness side of things, but at the same time, you're an amazing advocate for coaching. You've referenced like 3 different coaches that you have in your world, which again, bring it on. That's what we're all about on the show. But
No, no, I try to surround myself. My support system can be CEO coach, a founder coach is different, right? Like two
yeah,
different things we will work on. And then I have a fitness coach, I said, and then I have a diet coach. I like to support with anything with the coaches because that gives me, because there is no athlete, there is no sports athlete who would achieve the greatest result without supporting system, without the coach.
right.
And I'm always advocate for the coaching system.
Oh, that's good stuff. We'll keep that coming. We're all about that. But I now want to come back to what I was alluding to before, just the importance of sharing and letting someone like your wife into your world and being part of your support system, because I think it's part of the story that very often doesn't get discussed, especially with someone like yourself. You're not just a business owner, you own multiple businesses. You've got a big team, you've got lots of different things happening around you. And it would be very easy to make the conversation about the professional side of your life a lot. And yet here you are, you're alluding to your wife, you're alluding to your fitness, your health, your diet, all these kind of things. And it's a part that we don't discuss enough on this show at times, is just the human element to growth. And because everybody hears growth and they think it's career, it's business, it's high performance. And yet you're reminding us here, Sardor, the importance of just something as simple as who's the person in my life that's probably going to be closest to me in all of these different chapters. And when you have someone like a spouse or a best friend or a sibling, whatever it might be, it sounds as though you're leading from the front, but you're leading from the front with probably the most important in your person in your life right by your side. When did you learn the importance of that? Like, how did you learn the importance of that? When did you learn the importance of just having your wife in stride with you when you were going through this kind of growth?
I think it was, I cannot say when I learned it. I think I'm still learning, right? Like, and we was living with your spouse for 22 years. Now it's, I think, 22 years. And with each year, when you try and you're trying to kind of make it work, and you start understanding from each, the challenges, whatever you think, like what it's going to make you to more engaged to understand. Because instead of like discussing what I'm doing daily, or weekly, when she understands what I'm going after 10 or 5 or a year, and quarterly I'm reporting and she's part of that reporting system, she understands what I'm working on. She can much easier support me on the goals. Instead of discussing daily what happened yesterday, we can always discuss the future goals. That kind of keeps me more engaging. When you have one of the interesting thing is there is a triangle. When you have a goal together with someone and you discuss, you communicate, your affinity grows. Your likeness will grow with the same person because you have a common goal.
Mm. I love that. I love that. That's powerful. It's a powerful notion. You hear this narrative out there that we're supposed to separate these worlds, and you're going against that. You're pretty much saying like, hey, if I don't share the 5-year, the 10-year vision with my wife, how can I possibly have her buy-in for where I'm going? And how is she ever going to have a chance to understand why I'm doing the work, when I'm doing the work, etc.? And so I think, again, I find it fascinating that that is part of your world, that is part of your focus, that is part of your strategy, because I'm in complete agreement with you. I just don't hear it very often. I don't hear it very often. I don't hear people bring someone like their spouse up in this kind of discussion. But I'm guessing that for you, at least, it gives you a feeling of freedom. It gives you a feeling of clarity, and most importantly, support, on your journey.
Yes, and there is one more really interesting thing happens when I'm doing that, and I'm doing it purposefully, that I am building an ecosystem. The company, it's a holding company, and I am preparing it so it will not depend from anyone, even including me. I'm building that board system, and she's part of it. For God forbid, if something happens to me, she will be able to take over, or like my board will be able to take over, because they know what the strategy we have, and the next person can easily be on board, the next CEO, and continue the growth. The company will not disappear. Like, that's what I'm preparing it for.
Yeah, That makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense.
It makes it a kind of the company and the system what you are building, it will make it forever. Like I'm trying to build a company which is going to last 300 years.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going after.
That's ambitious, and I love it. I love it. It's for me. I'm only about 4 or 5 years into my own business as an executive coach, and what I find fascinating is that it's two very different worlds that we operate in, but at the same time, there's lessons that you're sharing here that someone like myself in more of a service industry can really resonate with and see the power of it. When I think about my own relationship with my wife, we go on an annual retreat and we sit down and we look at the year ahead and we talk about all the different things that I'm personally trying to accomplish, to your point, so that when we get to certain points in the year, I can always go back and reference and say, hey, this shouldn't be a surprise. This is where I said I wanted to go this year and you were in agreement with it, And I think some of those communication elements are just massively important. And I think it's very encouraging for anyone to listen to this, that they can have that confidence, that willingness to actually share this kind of stuff with those closest to them on their respective journeys of professional growth. But I want to learn a little bit more about how we got to where we are today, just in terms of what was it, Sardor, that gave you the ideas, that gave you the inspiration to build the specific businesses that you've built, because they are unique in their own way. But I'm curious as to how did you get into these industries and how did we get to where we are today?
It was really interesting. It was from the beginning. I didn't had an idea what I was building from 10, 15 years ago. I was just a technician. I was fixing machines. I was fixing laundry machines. Like that was my beginning of the journey. I was fixing coin laundry machines in the laundromats. And later on, my goal at that time was be number one in Los Angeles, in LA, California. And later on, we moved to appliance repair residential sector, and I want to be number one in LA. And I had that goal, and I had mapped out the LA. Later, I put a goal like, now let's do the whole California. Let's do now the nationwide in one vertical. Then later it came up, let's actually do the now HVAC, plumbing, electrical, because customer of ours are asking, can you guys do the other stuff? Mm-hmm. So basically, like we started getting integrated horizontally from one service to another service. And then basically we build out the whole horizontally, then later the ecosystem on virtually, and just solving problems, what it comes, and caring and taking responsibility and resolving and thinking, always having a curiosity would kind of give you the what is next, and that vision kind of grows itself. I didn't, in the beginning, my 3-year goal now is to build an ecosystem, not ecosystem, it was just actually to serve, to actually just build a home service sector, right? To serve the, our 3-year goal basically is to take care of our clients, the clients of the home, like our own, was bringing creativity, bringing happiness and the comfort of the peace of the millions of families. That's our 3-year goal. But a 10-year goal becomes much different. It's to be the most trusted global business ecosystem to empower millions of farmers to achieve and deliver the world-class service. So kind of that, from the just serving homeowners, now it's actually growing the longer target, become to actually build the ecosystem, right? So it's kind of having that vision. Of course, you're not going to do it overnight, but when you have that goal and the vision and mission, your also supporting system will help, and you kind of get to one step at a time to that direction.
Yeah. So there you were just fixing laundry machines. And then you got to a point where you were able to just say, okay, I don't want to just do this. I want to do this to a level where where I'm the best, where we're the best on a local level. And then you start to see all these next possibilities once you've established yourself in that initial bracket. Why the thought in the first place? Why was it? Because this is the part of growth that I love to talk about with people. Like, why wasn't it enough for you to simply make some money fixing equipment and that was it? Like, what was it that drew you to the idea of, I don't just want to be the person that does this for a living. I want us to be the company that does it better than anybody else within this respective area. Before we get to all the other stuff, I'm just curious, like, if you can think back, what was it that made you think, I don't want to just do it, I want to be the best at it too?
I think myself, I'm kind of perfectionist. When I see not good service, I like to make it better. And then when you make it better and you see your result, it makes you happy. Mm-hmm. And seeing a smile that you have made some difference, right? Like, and why not to amplify that? Why not to grow that and actually deliver much bigger volume and to bring that world-class service now to every single American household, but later it's global. Why not to grow it? The main thing is, I want to live this life where I don't feel sorry that I have spent my life worthwhile.
Mm. And there's a couple of questions that you're willing to ask as well over your last two responses there. You just said then, why not? You know, just being able to ask yourself, hey, why not? But then also, what's next as well? So it sounds as though whenever you hit a certain milestone, your immediate question was, what's next? It's like, what's next? What's possible? Where can we go from here? But at the same time, there's something interesting about the fact that you said, why not? Because that in itself is a unique way of thinking that puts you in the minority as opposed to the majority. The majority of people will just simply ask why, whereas you're willing to ask why not. And I find that part interesting and entertaining, let's say, in terms of your story, because it shows that your version of curiosity as an entrepreneur, as a professional, clearly sets you apart in a way to where your appetite doesn't seem to be going away. If anything, your appetite seems to be increasing the further and further you go. Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah. And you ask the why not, and you face more problems, more solution you will come up with, right? Like, and now actually with the technology, it's much even faster. Whereas with AI and ChatGPT, you have the instant answers. But the AI and the AI and ChatGPT is useless in front of someone who doesn't have the curiosity. Because at the end, it's a tool. It will only give you the answer what you really put up. If you ask the question as a first grader or kindergarten, you're gonna get the answer of a kindergarten, like why the sky is blue. But if you really actually have that responsibility and the deep questions you ask with why nots and curiosities, and you take that responsibility of solving a bigger problem, it will give you the biggest answers. It will basically amplify your results, amplifies your opportunity to solve bigger problems. It's just a tool which can actually make you like 10 or 100,000 times faster and better.
Yeah. So you're always looking for the bigger problem. You're not looking to fix the problem in front of you. It's like,
I love problems.
What's the even bigger problem?
Give me the biggest problems, correct. I love them because that's what actually clicks in. And I come up with those solutions actually overnight. When I wake up, I already have the answers because overnight kind of my brain kind of probably defragmented, put it in the right structures and give the answers. And right away you start saving them somewhere and you come up with.
Yeah. The problem solving nature of most entrepreneurs, I typically have come to learn that that's what separates someone that tries business ownership to those that stay with business ownership, those that keep going. Like they have, you said, I love problems. Not many people are going to say that. That's not a normal thing to say, right? I love a problem. I love a problem. But as you allude to there, for every problem, there's an opportunity for a solution. And if we can look at it through that lens of just, this is an opportunity for me to solve, not just identify a problem, but to solve a problem too. And clearly you get an enormous amount of just energy from the idea that with every problem comes that solution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The bigger the problem you solve, the bigger the success you're gonna have. Give me the problems.
Give me the problems. I love that. I love that. So when you look ahead now to, obviously what you built and the team that you have around you, I am curious, like when you think about, let's stay on that topic of problems, what do you feel for your own growth? And you can answer this from the perspective of yourself or from the perspective of the company. But when you look into the future right now, what might be an example of a problem that you see right in front of you that you're currently excited to be solving? Whether, like I said, whether it on a personal level or on a organizational level, what sort of things come to mind?
Look, on organizational level is how to amplify problem solving within organization, right? Like that's a really interesting one. And we have a 1-3-1 rule for that. And that actually is self fixed problems. Like before any worker or any manager, any executive, before they bring a problem to the manager, they have to ask 3 questions. The problem, what 3 solutions you have, and what is your suggestion? If you do that, any problem solves itself. Because before you bring a problem to me, you have to say like, Sardor, we have this problem, and there is a 3 suggestion of the solution for this, and I suggest this. When you create that, the person, the manager or the worker won't even come, because on the way he's going and he's preparing that solution, he already have the answers. Like most likely he's gonna tell me, number 1, let me just do it instead of going and asking. That will actually create a system in the system which will fix the problem itself. And there are, of course, there are bigger problems which they cannot handle. For that, we have a quality console, and we have a change meetings. They bring on the backlog. We solve those problems there, and we assign people for those problems, right? And that actually creates engagement. It makes them to feel they're empowered, and they make them to be part of the problem solving. And they're going to be much more engaged to implementing solution because they came up with that idea.
Yeah, so you're creating an ecosystem where problem solving is normal. It's encouraged, right? That's what I'm hearing. You're encouraging people to do it. Yeah, and that's, for me, again, is a unique quality in that, in the sense of that requires an enormous amount of trust, right? I mean, for leaders to just kind of put that trust on someone who's maybe considering solving a problem, working through the 1-3-1 rule, and then deciding that they may have discovered the one solution that is right, that's a great deal of trust on behalf of yourself, on behalf of your leadership team, yeah?
Yep, it's definitely. And we build the ecosystem the way that we have within the ecosystem, we have separate business units. They have their own P&Ls, and they work with each other as to business relationships, and they build each other. And they have to keep the other business unit happy as a customer, because the other business unit who's a client, they have the way of going to the externally and get services from others as well. So that's why with an ecosystem, you should always get feedback from your customer, from other business unit, and at the same time, and you can actually try bringing external agencies to solve that problem. Let's say bookkeeping, you can use internal bookkeeping system, or you can use external. Marketing, you can use internal, you can use external. Everyone has that option, and that actually makes that, I call it solar system. Like I build a business like it works in itself within gravity and with an own economy of scale. This way, you build something which will gonna last forever.
Yeah,
because they're self-fixing itself.
I love it in the idea of this idea of a solar system. I think that's a really nice visual for everybody. And again, for anybody listening to this, I think this is a great time for you to almost put yourself at the center of that solar system and ask yourself, hey, what does it look like? What does a well-functioning, smooth-looking solar system look like around me right now? And I think the beauty of this conversation, Sardor, is that there's probably going to be a few people, and it's okay when this happens, but they're going to think about their solar system and they're going to see a lot of gaps. You're going to see a lot of parts that they probably need around them that for whatever reason they currently don't. And that's okay. They can fix that. That sounds like a good problem to solve. But at the same time, the visual of that solar system, I think, is very helpful, especially for a business owner. But I'm very curious though, as we start to get towards the end of the conversation, like I am curious when you look ahead into your future right now, like what is it about the future that gets you most excited to know that, to use your definition for growth ready, like why is it you feel eager and willing to go into an area right now where maybe you may not necessarily be ready for it just yet, but what is it that's out in front of you in this future that you feel this is exciting for me right now and this is why we're heading in this direction?
I think the growth readiness is not about waiting about the right time. It's about becoming the right person who can build and who builds that growth system itself, right? And when we are building something great and you take the responsibility, you see the result, it makes you exciting that we can actually visualize the future outcome. I'm building something that in 10 years, I look back, I want to be proud of myself, what I have did, right? So, and I'm going to the direction of growth. And I cannot call I'm ready, but I'm ready with every single step of the time. I'm preparing for that to become the right person.
Well, I've no doubt that it's going to happen based on history. Everything that you've done so far proves that wherever you're willing to create the vision and then go, good things seem to happen. And with all the insights and all the wisdom you've been able to share with us today, man, I'm really thankful and appreciative for it. And I'm curious too, like if anybody wants to learn more either about yourself or about some of your services as a company, where might we go just to learn more about you and everything you offer?
Yeah, they can find me on sardorumrdinov.com or they can find me on YouTube, Instagram. I share a lot of thought leadership, the business, scaling, how to build, how to start and scale any business, right? And it's on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, whatever. And plus also I have my own podcast as well called Founder to Founder, and where we actually interview other founders who have built and scaled their home service businesses. They have scaled prop tech and they have scaled their roll-ups and private equity, venture capital. And basically my goal is in that Founder to Founder podcast to interview within the first year all of the home service founders who have built $100 to $500 million companies. And within 2 years, I want to interview all of the founders who have built prop techs like Service Titan and Home Advisor, NGs, who have built $1 billion companies. And within 3 years, I want to interview venture capital, private equity, who does roll-ups. And within hopefully 5 years, I'm going to be interviewing Bezos and Elon Musk, who have built their really scalable $1 trillion companies.
So I don't think I'm going to get an invite onto that podcast anytime soon, which is fine. It's totally fine. But I will say, talk about an example of everything that you preach, man. Like for you to not only commit to doing a podcast, and I'm glad you brought it up because I had a note here that I was going to mention it before we were done, but you not only have started a podcast, but you can hear the year to year vision that you have for it and the intentionality around that. And I think that's exciting, and I look forward to, as the years go by, checking in on how Founder to Founder is doing and checking out the guest list and seeing how well you're executing on that vision. But for now, Sardor, this has been an absolute delight, an absolute pleasure. I've really appreciated the time, and just best of luck. Not that you need it, but best of luck with anything and everything in your world moving forwards, brother.
Thank you, Steve. I really appreciate that.
And my thanks again to Sardor for joining us on this episode of Growth Ready. And I want to talk to you about the ecosystem of accountability that you either have or are lacking within your life. If it is something that you've never really thought of before, I encourage you to start assessing where might an ecosystem be that I can either insert myself into, or what might an ecosystem look like that I can create around myself. I use terms like community all the time for the same term of ecosystem, but for you, that ecosystem is what you require to be accountable, to become accountable. And that's what I really appreciated about Sardor's conversation, is that he helped us understand that accountability, as I often preach with my clients, is not something we are necessarily held to as much as it is something we become. Can we become accountable? And hey, if you're someone right now and you look at your ecosystem, you look at the people that you have surrounding you in pursuit of all and any goals that you have assigned, maybe you feel good about it currently. Well, that's great. But you feel good about it currently now. When it comes to your further growth, what does leveling up your accountability look like? What does asking for greater accountability from your ecosystem look like? And what might it mean to potentially replace some of those that currently are part of your ecosystem? Is it possible that you've started to get a little bit too comfortable with those that you keep close around you? These are all things that we can simply consider. We don't necessarily have to solve right now, but it's about asking those powerful questions. It's about taking the time to just simply become more aware of what your ecosystem looks like, what accountability from that ecosystem potentially looks like, and how you can continue to invest in it and become more aware of it. So again, my thanks to Sardor for joining us on this episode. And as always, my thanks to you for being an avid, consistent, and ever-present supporter of this show. We are slowly counting down, just a couple more episodes away now to episode 300. It's crazy to think of, but I appreciate you for joining me on this episode, and I wish you nothing but the best in your continued growth journey. Make sure you are subscribed to the show, that you're sharing any episode of value that you find, which is pretty much every episode, right? Go ahead and share it and leave us a review in the same time as well. Best of luck with anything and everything you've got going on in your world. And I look forward to doing this again with you very soon. Bye for now.
Thank you for tuning in to Growth Ready. If you liked what you heard and are feeling ready to grow, be sure to leave a 5-star rating, subscribe to the show, and share the episode with someone you know is ready to fuel their growth journey today. We love our community, so don't hesitate to reach out to us at podcast@growthready.com. And until next time, we are Growth Ready, and you will be too.